Okay, so we're going to start recording this thing. There's what really happened with this Sizzle call, just so you guys know, is there was a bunch of us that got in a room and we started talking about what could we do for the summertime, what could we do to really provide a lot of support for everybody. And we thought, one of the things we haven't done in a real long time is we haven't done like a summer support call or a summer Sizzle call. Why don't we get as many of us as we can to agree to this? We'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you're taking notes on how often we do these things, if any of you guys are like, I just wish I had, just a little bit of support or a place I could take my people and get them introduced to what's going on here on Life Advantage, this is the place. We're going to do them every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday. We do them at 5 o'clock Mountain and 7 o'clock Mountain, so you can kind of do the math with wherever you're at. If people can't get on this early call, then you invite as many people as you can to the later call. And you're going to see a lot of different things. One of the things that I would hope that these calls can provide for you is if you're a guest, you're going to get to see 5 or 6 different personalities, 5 or 6 different people present, and they're going to talk to you about what's really important to them. And it will give you a really clean introduction to what Life Advantage is. You're going to, for example, with me tonight, it's going to be pretty quick. I believe in being able to maybe start conversations between you and whoever invited you onto this call about 2 topics. One is the health, crisis that a lot of people are going through, and then the financial crisis that they're going through. My job is to give you a 30,000-foot view in a very, very short period of time. But you're going to also see some people that get into a lot of detail on these. They're going to go way into the products. They'll give you multiple different products that the company has, because we have more than just Protandim, even though that's what I'm going to focus on tonight. And they're going to it might be maybe a 35 or even a 45-minute call to give you a little bit more detail. So the reason I tell you this about this call is I would really like you to participate in as many of them as you can. I was taught early on in this game that you bring people to the event, no matter who the speaker is, because somebody on your team will probably relate to different speakers. And that always made sense to me, because I realized pretty quickly that not everyone's going to think just like me. I'm very, very much about the business on this, and everyone knows that. But I also understand that the business cannot exist if you don't have a really legitimate product. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. I think you guys would probably all agree with me on that. So get on them all. They're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're at 5 o'clock. They're at 7 o'clock. And if you've got guests that you're just kind of struggling with how to introduce the information, this is where you bring them to do it. Okay. So that's what these are for, you guys. I'm going to go in and share my screen. So bear with me for 1 second so that I can gather up a few photos that I can share with you guys tonight. Can we do that? Got to make sure that I put these things all in the right order. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see my photos? You can't see those. I was going to say, if you can, you're going to see the car I just ordered. So let's see here. How do I want to do this? We can start with that one. We'll get into that one. Actually, I'm going to take that one off. I'll do the disclaimer. We'll do that. We'll do this, that. All right. That's the order we're going to do this thing in tonight. So let's share those photos. Can you all see that now? Can you guys see my screen okay now? So you can see me on there. So this is the time, you guys. My name's Tyler Daniels. For those of you guys that don't really know me, I've been in this game for about 23 years. I got introduced to it in Central Utah as a real estate appraiser. And it just seemed like every home I went into, somebody was doing a business. And so I got introduced to this 23 years ago. And I got to tell you, the thing that really got me, the thing that made me even consider looking at this industry is I realized pretty quickly that as a real estate appraiser, it was up to me to do that appraisal. I couldn't really hire people to do the appraisal. And so if a bank ordered an appraisal, I was physically the one that had to do it, turn it in, get paid, wait for another order to come in. And this was offered up to me as a way to do work today and still get paid for it in a year from now, or 5 years, or even 10 years from now, where the appraisal business wasn't going to allow me to do that. I quickly realized that this was very similar to, say, if I was a car salesman and I sold somebody a car, but every time they filled it up with fuel, I got paid. And I was like, yeah, I think I could do that. I think that sounds like a great way to get paid. If I could sell a car one time and every time they put gas in it, I got paid. That sounds like a little bit better way to make money than the way I was making money, where it required me to physically do the work. Another way to think about it would be if you sold somebody a house and every time they made a house payment, you got paid on that house payment. That's another way. It's kind of just a small analogy. It's not technically how it works, but it's an analogy to try to help us open our minds up to this idea that if you can find a company that will pay you to market their product, and that product is unique enough, that product is powerful enough, or it has such a great need that people will buy that product month after month after month after month. You do the work one time, and every time they order that product, you'll get a commission check. And that's what we do here. And so it put me on a journey, you guys, where I've been in a couple different companies, but ultimately about 17 years ago, I got introduced to LifeVantage, which is the company that you're going to hear about tonight. And I got excited because they have a product that I believe is extremely powerful. I mean, very, very necessary in today's world. The way it was presented to me is they said, Tyler, have you ever looked at your grandparents or your parents and said, I don't want to deal with age-related diseases like they are? And I was like, well, yeah, it doesn't sound that attractive. And they said, well, we found a way to at least give you a fighting chance to be able to avoid some of that. We're going to put your body in a position where it can start to repair itself the way it did when you were young. And if you think anybody else out there would want to be able to be exposed to this or be introduced to this kind of a product where they can have a fighting chance to maybe avoid some of those age-related diseases, well, we're going to pay you to go out and find them. And I thought that sounds great to me. So I started looking at the product. And if you, I got to throw this disclaimer up there that they make us do this, you guys, just in case I say something they don't want me to say. Okay. So I started looking at the product and I started looking at the company history. And I realized that we were at a point where this company had gone out and tried to do this thing traditionally, where they tried to put this product on the store shelves, as you look at this little chart right here. And they had failed because the conversation was so far ahead of the antioxidant conversation that they decided to give people like all of us on this call an opportunity to get paid by telling people that it exists. It was a conversation that needed to take place at kitchen tables and take place at a diner like Daryl and I were talking about this morning. It's a conversation that they needed some help with because it's extremely expensive to go out and try to educate a consumer about a product that is really, really advanced. Well, it got the attention of a whole bunch of different universities, a bunch of different part of the scientific community that are the experts. And they started doing what's called a peer-reviewed study. They started doing studies that were published in medical journals. There's over 30 of them from places like the American Heart Association, places like Ohio State, LSU, National Institutes of Aging. There's international studies that are being done by international universities. They've all come back positive. We have over 30 of them today. It started, though, back in about 2009 when I joined this company. We started getting really excited because what it represented to us when you have this kind of scientific validation is some uniqueness in the industry. We started to realize that they were answering a question that the industry has been asked for years and years and years, which is, where's your proof? And all of a sudden we had it. So all of a sudden we have proof that our product will work from the most respected people that we all look to when we're trying to find solutions to the health issues that we have. And I started to realize if everyone's going to need this and you can't get it anywhere else because we have it patented and we own all the rights to it, and the studies are based on the actual composition of this product, not an ingredient that's in it, I started to realize that there's also a solution for my financial issues. And so the product I'm talking about, you guys, is called Protandim. You can look it up. You can go to PubMed. You can go to Google Scholar. You can start looking. The keywords that I would tell you to type in if you're looking to find out what this product will do, or if you feel like you need to do a little bit more research, is type in the words oxidative stress, whatever disease you're trying to see if it's associated with, and then also put the word Protandim in there because the studies are linked to those three things. I mean, what is the disease state? What is the oxidative stress relationship? And then Protandim. And you're probably going to find out that this product right here is beneficial to every single living animal on the planet. It basically, let me do it like this. Let me tell you what the doctor who described this thing or discovered it told me about this product so that I could say it in a way that just the average normal person could say it. I caught him behind stage one day and I said, I can't talk like you. I'm not a scientist. I cannot understand all the scientific words. So how should I explain this to someone else? And he said, it's real simple, Tyler. He goes, basically what happens is when you age, until you're about 20, your body makes all the stuff. And he actually called it stuff. He didn't use all the scientific terms. He said, your body makes all the stuff necessary to repair itself, and your body's really good at it. He said, when you're young, you have the ability to damage your body and then have really, really quick repair. You got a lot of energy. He goes, but when you're about 20, 21, 22 years old, your body stops producing as much stuff every single year. And so by the time you're about 60, you're not making the stuff anymore. And I said, well, what happens then? He goes, well, that's when you die. He goes, you're not making the stuff. You can't fix it. You can't fix anything. It's going to overtake you and you're going to die. And he said, what we have figured out is a way to turn all those systems back on. He says, we don't do it with supplementation. And this is a really key thing for any of you guys that are looking at this as to whether or not you want to help us tell the world that it exists or not, or if you want to join this company and be a part of our team, which is the purpose of this call. Is the key point is that we're not a supplementation company. What we are is an activation company. We believe that your body has the ability to repair itself. It already knows how to do this, but because we're genetically programmed to turn those systems off, we just simply need to turn them back on, and then you can effectively have the same level of repair that you had when you were younger, where you can feel a little bit better. Well, some of us got really excited about that back in 2009, and we decided we were going to start building teams. And so in my case, I went out and Marcel and I found 36 other people to help us tell the story of Protandim. We started talking about the uniqueness of it and how it benefits people to bring their bodies back to that position where it can repair itself better. And we found 36 people that said, yeah, we're going to go help you tell the story. Of those 36 people, 12 of them helped us. I mean, and that should tell you a little story in itself. 12 of them still take the product. And honestly, 12 of them just said, yeah, this is, I'm not going to continue doing this. So we had 12 people quit, 12 people take the product, and 12 people said, yeah, let's go. Those 12 people have put in over 200,000 people around the world in every single market that we're in. And it's the largest organization. It does over $10 to $12 million a month in sales every single month. It's sold over $2 billion of this little product that you can see on the screen, because people get excited when they realize that they don't have to feel the way that they feel today. They get excited when they know that they can have their body behave like it did when they were young, and they want to use this product. And so we have over 200,000 people that do that, sold over $2 billion worth. But the more important thing from a financial point of view is how much of that $2 billion was paid back in commissions. And if you're looking at a company and looking for a financial solution, there's a couple factors that are really important. Obviously, number one, the product has to be unique. You don't want to be able to get it anywhere else, but you want to be competitive. I mean, how competitive am I going to pay to get you to go out and talk about Protandim? I mean, how much can I pay you to go out and be motivated or inspired to take the time to introduce this to people? Well, over 40% of every dollar that comes in when people buy our products is paid back to all of us in commissions. That means on $2 billion, there's been $800 million worth of commissions paid out. That's a lot. I'm pretty proud of that. I know that that's had a small impact in hundreds of thousands of families out there that are looking for a little solution to some of the problems we're dealing with our economies right now, with gas prices or grocery store prices or schooling prices, or even just getting your kids into some new clothes. Everything is really expensive. And I know that I've had the opportunity to help a lot of families because I found a little product that everybody wants. And so that relationship, you guys, is something that we're really, really proud of. I want to take just a second and talk about this with you. There's 4 pillars that we pay. When you start to look at a capitalist society or a capitalist environment, you start to realize that consumption is the number one thing you have to pay attention to. Well, we all consume the product. We're all excited about it. We all want the benefit of the product, but there's 2 different types of people who consume. One of those people is somebody that just wants to consume it for the benefit, but does not want to help us tell the story. We call those customers. As you find people that want that product and they start buying our products, you're going to fit somewhere into these categories, and we're going to pay you these percentages on top of about a 10% difference, which is the difference between what the customer would pay and what we as consultants pay, meaning you can make up to 30% on those customers' purchases. And those are the people that just want the benefit of the product. And you're going to find out, you guys, as you start studying it into a little bit deeper detail, that this is a pretty exciting product because it doesn't cost a ton of money. It's roughly $60 a month or so. So, they spend that money to get the benefit of it. It's not a hard sell because it's backed up by the biggest, most respected experts in our society. It starts to add up, though, in volume, and we start paying you these percentages, which means if you're at that $4,000 mark and you're getting 30%, because you'll get this 20 plus the other 10, that's about $1,200 a month. Well, there's people, you guys in this business, that have got this qualification 4 and 5 and 6 times. And so you can imagine if you've got $20,000 worth of volume and you're making, that 30% of that, $6,000 a month, that's enough to replace the average income in America. So one of our 4 pillars is this customer pillar. And believe it or not, even though I tell you how this thing works, and it sounds pretty exciting, it's actually the smallest pillar. It's not even the biggest pillar we have. It's just one that kind of gets you started, or it's a kind of an overflow for being willing to go out and talk about what we're doing and inviting people to be on our team. The next bonus is these level commissions where you start building a team. Now, I told you my numbers for a reason. It wasn't just because I wanted to tell you how big my organization is. It's because I wanted you to start realizing if you found someone like me, I'm going to probably fall somewhere in that first level or second level in your organization. Well, our compensation plan will pay you for finding teammates. It will pay you 10% or 7%. Or you can see there's 9 levels of this. Wherever they fall in this chart, we're going to pay you that 10, 7, 6, 5% of whatever their group volume is. So you can imagine if you found me and I was on your team and you're getting a 6, 7, 8, 10% override on what I'm doing, that ends up being a lot. Well, I mean, what if I had $4,000 worth of customers and you get 10% of all that? That's another $400 for you on the effort that I put in. This is where I started to go, you know what? I would way, way, way rather go out and invite people to help me tell the world that a great product exists and get paid from their efforts instead of being only dependent on my own, which is what I was as a real estate appraiser. And you guys can probably apply that to most of the jobs that you have or the businesses that you have. And if you went away, the income stops. Not here. See, if I can find a team of people that will get excited about Protandim and tell people this thing exists, I'm going to get those little overrides. And that's a way better way to live. So you can have as many of me as you want. You can have 5 of me, 10 of me. You can imagine if you had 10 of me that had a $4,000 customer pool, you know, you've got 40,000 running through there. You're making 10% of that. That's $4,000. It's $50,000 a year on the efforts of others. And what a great way to start creating some income that is no longer dependent on your own personal monthly activity. Well, we do it through 9 levels. So if 10 get 10, I'm not going to do all the math, but if you get 10 who get 10, that's 100 more people. You'll get the 7. And if those 10 or those 100 get 10, it's 1,000. Now you can kind of understand how the 12 people I enrolled turned into those few 100,000 people, okay? We then have something called a leadership pool, which I must not have clicked my bonus chart on that, okay? Not important. Just understand that we have 7 generations. As people start to become independent and no longer need you, you're going to get an override on whatever their check is from this piece right here, from this. You're going to get a 20%, whatever their check is from the levels, you'll get a 20% bonus of that. But the last pillar, you guys, is probably the most exciting one to me. This is the one where it's a community pillar. So some of you guys have heard these numbers I put out there, and you're saying, well, that's great for you, but what about, what can I get? Well, you can get paid from what I've already done. I mean, what a great incentive for you to go out and hit the top 5 ranks of the company and get a share of 4% of the entire global volume of the company, of the LifeVantage company. We put 4% into a pool and we split it up amongst all the shares. And for those of you that are wondering what's a share worth, I mean, they're worth, let's just say generally $1,000. I mean, some months are $800, some months they're $1,300. They're generally $1,000. So you can figure this out. You get to the top, which I think there's 11 people in the company at the top. They're getting 20 shares of this pool every single month. It's an extra about 20 grand a month or $250,000 a year on top of all the other bonuses they get from this. And that's based on work that we've all done over the last 16, 17 years. So when you contribute more in, you get paid from what we've all done, plus everything that you contribute. And it's the community bonus. It also is a good reason why I don't care who's on this call. I don't care if you're on my team. I don't care if you're not on my team. I don't care at all. If you're on this call, I want you to win because I'm sharing in all these pools from what the whole company does. So you get paid on the customers, which is the consumer that just wants the benefit. You get paid on the consultants, which is the consumer that will help you talk about it. And then you can start getting paid on everybody else's efforts as you move yourself through these ranks. And that's a pretty exciting thing. So there's a couple different packs you can join with. If you want a big exposure, obviously you should do the $9.99. I mean, if you want to jump in and have exposure to all the products that we have and understand what they are, you want to come in at the $9.99. If that's a little bit steep for you, come in at one of the other packs. The most important thing you can do, though, is get on a subscription to where you're using the products month after month, because we believe that over time, you're going to have an experience with these products that will give you belief as you talk to other people. You're going to want them to know the experience that you had. And so the subscription is the most important thing. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen as we wrap this thing up here for a second, because I like to see everybody's faces on here. I go through these things obviously pretty quick. I mean, we're 18 minutes into this thing. That is a brief overview, and I'm hoping to create enough of just a spark or be provocative enough about having a unique product that this company will pay you for, plus some people that have already succeeded in this thing for you to want to go back to the person who invited you onto this call and have a deeper conversation. That's the point of this call for me. The last thing I want to leave you guys with here tonight, though, is where this company is at today. We just had a unifying of every top leader in this company all over the last 6 months. And why does that matter? Well, the thing that you've got to understand about this industry is there's several companies that are big. They're what we call the legacy companies. It's the New Skins, the Amways, the Mary Kays, the Herbalifes. You've heard of them, the USONAs. That's who they are. And you can look at their track record and you can ask specific questions. You can say, how long did it take you to get to 200 million? How long did it take you once you hit the 200 million to go to $1 billion? You can say, how many companies actually get to 200 million if you want to. You can ask a lot of questions. And what these other companies will do is give you an outline. They'll give you kind of kind of a footprint, or they'll give exposure to what you can expect. Well, when you look at those other companies, they all took anywhere from 5 years to 13 years to get to 200 million. They then had a period where they would flatline for 12, 15, 18 years before they had that explosive, what we call the wealth phase. So you have the early adoption phase, which a lot of people try to sell you in the pump and dump environment. Get in first, be at the top. That's all nonsense because it's still dealing with chaos. Most of those companies never make it beyond that. The ideal, if you're looking for the sweet spot, if you're looking for the ideal place to find a company, you want to find that company that survived those 5 years. You want to find a company that has figured out how to unify all their leadership. You want to find a company that has figured out how to really commit to who they are. And who we are is we're the activation company. We want every one of our products to tell you and your body to behave like it did when you were young. That's the whole goal here. It knows how. Let's make it work like it did when you were young. When you can get an alignment of all those forces, you can go through the wealth phase where the company will 4 and 5 times itself. That's what all the big legacy companies did. We just hit that this year. Our company is experiencing it right now, and you're within the first 6 months of the first conversation, and you're probably within the first 30 days of us all putting it into application. So that's why these summer Sizzle calls are going, you guys. We expect over the next 4 or 5 years that you can be part of that wealth phase. We expect over the next 4 or 5 years that this is one of those environments where you just need to kind of get in the way, bring people to these calls, get people to the events, and you can kind of just get caught up in the excitement of what's going on. There will be a lot of fear of missing out. If you've ever wondered why you haven't been in the right place at the right time, or why you were in a company that didn't have the kind of support or leadership that you would hope for, those days are over. This is the place to be. There's a ton of support and a ton of us are working. This will be, when I get done tonight at 7 o'clock, it'll be my 5th call of the day in one day, and I don't have to do this. It's my 5th call. I'm excited. I just enrolled a person. I haven't enrolled in a personal in the last 17 years from the day we launched this company. And I enrolled somebody just on Saturday because we're excited. I know this next wealth phase could change your guys' lives. Everything that you guys have learned over the last 4 or 5 years, for those of you that have been with the company for a minute, all you did was sharpen your skill set. That's all you did. You are now prepared to take advantage of what this company is going to do if we follow the history of what legacy companies have done. So congratulations for being here. I'm going to do another one of these things at 7 o'clock. They're not always exactly the same. They'll be roughly the same slides. But thanks for jumping on here, you guys. And it's good to see all your faces. And take this conversation, I hope, and take it a little bit deeper with whoever invited you on the call. Good enough? Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. We will see you at 7 o'clock. Bring a guest. Bring a guest. See you guys.